Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm going to do another car seat video. I had mentioned about the Bundle Me previously and my how to make a Reborn and Silicone look real in your car seat. I had a lot of positive feedback about that video. There were some negative. I think there was only one negative comment, and what did I do with my phone? I was going to read it to you guys quickly. I know Crystal commented, it's just like, seriously, even in real life, as a car seat tech, you're going to get these people out there that are going to be very defensive of their choices, even if they're not the safe choice. That's what one of the very, very first things they actually tell you when you take the tech class. And, so, I'm trying to get to it quick. I thought I had it up, but my husband called, so I guess I accidentally shut it off. I said a lot of questions, and I'm open to questions. If you have any questions, just ask. A lot of were thanking me for it. Here's what it is. You're looking way too far into this. I have one of those car seat canopy capoodle things, and it does pass the test if you look at the information on their website. Or, it does pass the test if you look for the information on their website. It does pass actual test. Calm down. With an explanation point. Okay, first of all, you can say anything on a website, doesn't make it true. I mean, look at this whole fake news thing. Just because it's on the website doesn't make it true. And as Crystal had pointed out, I closed it before I could read her comment, the company they may or may not have tested it. Lots of aftermarket products will say they're tested. The Bundle Me, I believe, says it's tested, and I will show you why it's not safe as well. When I was mentioning the car seat kit and caboodles, I do have a couple of the car seat canopies. They're actually in my pile of stuff to get rid of. And this minky material that they use is not flame retardant. That's a big one right there, because if your car seat goes up in flames, your Reborn will go with it. And I am 99% sure that your car insurance will not cover your Reborn. They'll probably tell you to file it under your renter's insurance or your home insurance, as that falls under private property versus car seats. And accidents, they typically will pay for a car seat to be replaced. Sometimes you have to argue with them on that. Honestly, if your car seat is for a Reborn, I have no issues people buying used car seats for their Reborns. I wouldn't recommend it for a real child. I wouldn't buy a used car seat unless I knew the source. And you trusted your child with the said source. Like, of the car seats that I have, I think I purchased 2 used car seats. One came from a fellow car seat tech who actually I lived near before we moved down here, and I did trust her with my kids. She babysat my daughter more than once. It wasn't uncommon for me, sorry, gotta get Jack out of the way. It wasn't uncommon for me to get a phone call from her saying, hey, can I pick up your daughter so we can go have a fun day together? So I did trust her with my daughter. And my daughter was turning forward facing, and I wanted a seat matching my son's for my daughter. She had the same seat. Her daughter had just outgrown it, and she needed a convertible seat because a child she ended up nannying was outgrowing his infant car seat. So we swapped the 2 seats, and so I have my daughter's seat is a used seat. Once again, I trust the source. I know the history, and I know she took care of it. The other was I bought a car seat from another friend of mine. I needed something that would fit in my mom's car, and this is one of the few car seats that actually would work in there. And once again, it was somebody I trusted with my kids. I knew the history of the car seat. I knew it wasn't in any accidents. And I knew she didn't, like, wash the harness, or... You're not supposed to wash the harness at all, by the way. All car seat manuals will say that the harness needs to be spot cleaned only. Like, this is a used car seat. The harness is kind of icky. I might take it out and wash it, but it's an expired car seat anyways, so it will never be used by a real child. Where if you're using it for a real child, you never wash a harness. And I've heard, oh, but what if my child vomits and I can't get the smell out, or has a blowout and it's nasty? You don't use any harsh solvents. You basically use baby wipes to clean them. You have to use very mild, like, dampness. You don't want to get them wet, like soaking wet, because that weakens the fibers in the webbing of the harness. If it's really bad, you can put your car seat out in the sun for a couple days, like direct sunlight. That usually gets rid of smell. I mean, the same thing goes for cloth diapers. If you've got a stained cloth diaper, it's called sunning the diaper. You just put it out in the sun for a day or two, and typically the stain is gone and the smell is gone as well. But if you really were disgusted by this harness, you can always contact the company to buy a new harness. They will not send you a new harness for free. You will have to purchase it. But anyways, as you can see, I've got this Bundle Me on here, and this is why Bundle Me's are not safe. I do have a Bundle Me. We had one for my daughter. We used it for her stroller only. They're nice in strollers, especially in cold areas. Like if you had, like Crystal, for example, in the winter sometimes she'll take her stroller out, and I know she has a snap and go with her car seat. But if she had, like, say, a full-size Graco car stroller, and she wanted to take Maisie out for a fun outing in the winter, a Bundle Me would be nice to make Maisie look all cozy in her stroller. But this is why they're not safe in car seats. I know my cat's in the way. So I've taken everything out of my Kiko Key-Fit. And first of all, as you can see, the harness is not lining up with the shoulders. Hopefully you can see in here. The shoulder straps are right here where my hand is. When you put the harness in, it comes way up. And that's the lowest setting on the harness. And harnesses need to be on rear-facing seats, excuse me, at or below the shoulders. This is putting the harness above the shoulders. I always have mine set on the smallest, and a lot of people put them on the highest. That's not safe, because in an accident in rear-facing car seats, it's called ramping up. Baby in the accident will go up into the car, like be pushed into the car seat and up. The force of the physics of a car accident and the force. The baby will call ramp up. And at or above, or at means the baby will move up further. So if you've got your harness set at the top, your baby will slide all the way up instead of at or below, and you make sure that they're tight. They don't move up a whole lot. Like, you might not even see it. But anyways, as you can see, this is moving the straps to above where they should be. And I'll put Ryan, my model, in. And even putting her in, it doesn't push it down. Plus, like, there's this hard Velcro behind her. Let me get her in. And before I put her in, I had this harness nice and tight on her. And I know I'm going to be having to loosen this harness to get her usually buckled in. No, it wasn't nice and tight. Never mind. I'll do this way. I had made it nice and tight, and then I took out the body pillow. Okay, so she's buckled in. And like I said, even putting her in, now there's all this bunching behind her. There should not be anything between baby and the seat itself. And then, you know, just for fun's sake, here's the hat that goes with it. Like I said, we had the whole thing for my daughter. But we used it in the stroller. And the year that she was born, it actually was a very mild year in North Dakota, winter-wise. So I put it in our double stroller. I put her Bundle Me in the double stroller to kind of keep her warm. And then I put her little hat on. And then we could actually leave her face exposed because the temperatures weren't very cold. If she started getting cold, we could flip it over her. But, I mean, she looks very snugly in here. But also the thing is, these are very, very, very warm. And in your car, you usually have it pretty warm as well. And you can actually overheat baby like this. So, and as well as people with Bundle Me's, they usually, and I've just got this thin muslin blanket, they'll usually shove a blanket on baby, and it's usually a very thick blanket. And then they have a winter coat on. So anyways, yeah, she looks really snugly in there. But once again, the strap harnesses are coming above her shoulders than where they should be. And I am going to take her out and take this out and show you how loose the harness will be. And these are the harness straps that come with this car seat. I'm putting new harness straps on, like these aftermarket ones. Once again, yes, these are aftermarket ones. These are used with strollers. I've also got a pink set right here that I keep for my Reborns, like if I use them in a stroller. But aftermarket, those big puffy harness pads are not safe at all because they were not tested with your car seat, even if they say they are. So anyways, let's take Ryan out and we will take the Bundle Me out. I'm not going to touch anything on this harness. I'm just simply going to take the Bundle Me out. And I'm going to set it over here. Her back in, and I can already look at how loose this is. Like, I got it as tight as I could on her. When she was in the Bundle Me, I couldn't get it any tighter. And look at how loose this harness is. Like, you shouldn't be able to get any pinch up any webbing. It's called the pinch tent. You shouldn't be able to pull up any of the harness right here. And I've got a good 2 inches. Now, in an accident, this material will compress. I mean, it'll get flat. And this means your child's harness is loose. And this is where the chest clip was. And look. The force of the crash, and yes, she's a silicone, she's soft, and she has no bones. But there has been documented cases of babies and accidents that were buckled in, but they weren't buckled in tight enough, flying out of the seat. Or they were in a bunting, or like a Bundle Me, or a big snowsuit. I am able to take her completely out of this car seat because the harness was so loose and because the chest clip was down so far. I'm going to put her back in and tighten it and show you I can't get her out that way. Okay, I'm going to take the hat off. But, I mean, that's a scary fact when it comes to your kids. I mean, like I had said, people get defensive over some of their parental choices. And yes, it is a parental choice. But it doesn't make it a safe choice. And when I first had my son, I was a little car seat conscious. Not how... I had no idea what a car seat tech was. I mean, look at, I'm able to pull all this out. I had no idea what a car seat tech was. I had no idea people could check car seats to make sure they were in your car safe, show you how to install your car seat in your car. I had no idea any of this. And when my son first came home from the hospital, he had, I think he had aftermarket pad covers, and pad covers are these things. He had, I believe he had aftermarket pad covers on. His harness was actually pretty loose. And then after I had him, I became more and more aware of car seat stuff. And that's where I was asking people questions. I wanted to learn how to keep my son as safe as possible on the road. Because in the tech world, there's a saying, you're only as safe as the worst driver on the road. And it's totally true. You can be doing everything to the T, and you've got a teenager on her cell phone texting and driving who just got her license last week with a bunch of friends, radio cranked up, talking, laughing, and eating. Like, that's not a safe situation at all. And she's not paying attention to the road at all. And you may be doing everything right, and she can still hit your car. I mean, my accident that I was in that totaled my van, my first van, I was sitting at a red light. Like, the only more safe I could have got is not being in a car, period. But we were completely stopped at a red light, and a guy in a large pickup truck talking on his cell phone to his wife, speeding, and distracted by the dog park that was on the side of the road, wasn't paying attention to the stoplight. And by the time his son yelled at him to stop, I heard late brakes lock up. I heard the and before I could even look in my rear view mirror, we were flying forward. And that's the reality of it. You're only as safe as the worst driver on the road. And that's just even like in a chain. Like, you have a big, thick metal chain. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So, once again, same thing. So, I wanted to learn more about it. And in my accident, both of my kids were fine. I wound up with whiplash, but my son and daughter both. My daughter didn't even wince in it. Like, she was still rear-facing. She just kind of looked up and looked around. My son was crying at first, and I think it's because the sound of the glass, because our back window shattered. I think the sound of the glass, and he was in the back seat, and the glass flying around him scared him. And once we stopped, pulled over, and I started talking to him, he calmed down. He was completely fine. But, I mean, if I wouldn't have had my kids buckled in correctly, I don't know what would have happened to them. Like I said, it was a Dodge Ram truck, which are already 1500, so they're already pretty heavy and big trucks. And he was carrying 2 tons of dirt in the back. So, all that weight, and he was speeding. The speed limit was 40 on the road he was doing. And he admitted to the cop he was doing somewhere between 45 and 50 when he hit the brakes. And all that weight of that truck, plus doing 45 to 50 miles per hour, went all into the back of my van. And my kids' car seats kept them safe. The officer that arrived at the scene, he said his heart dropped when he saw the van. He instantly pulled over, ran up to our van to make sure the kids were okay first. And both the kids at that point were just fine because they were still buckled in their car seats. If you do get in an accident, always keep your kids in the car seat. especially if they're injured. If there's a fire, obviously get them out as soon as possible. But like in my instance, there wasn't a fire. We actually were able to pull off to the side of the road because it was a busy street and it was 5 o'clock traffic. We were able to pull off on the side of the road into a parking lot, and I just left my kids in the car until it was time, or my husband got there and we transferred into his car, or into his truck. But like if they need to be transferred to the hospital, typically the EMTs will take them out in their car seat and literally just strap the car seat onto the gurney. But look at, this is how the harness should fit. And I know that it's got these pads on, so it's not easier to see. I'm not able to pinch anything. Like I cannot, I got a little bit. Okay, tighten it a little more. Okay. There. I'm not able to pinch any webbing. That's how a harness should be. And even if I move the chest clip down on the belly, which that's not safe, for the pure reason of, this is just called a pre-crash retaining clip. Some of them break in crashes, and that's fine. The manufacturers are fine with them breaking it. It's just to keep the harness in place. But when you put them on the belly, that's a soft spot. I mean, think about your belly. It's got a bunch of organs in it that are unprotected. But your chest has your your ribs to protect it. It's got that cage around it. You want this on their rib cage because it's better to break a few ribs on a child in an accident, if it came down to that, than causing internal damage and internal bleeding. Because by the time you get to the hospital and they figure out what's going on, it may be too late. And that's the grim reality of it. But look, I cannot, even moving it down, I can get her shoulder slit out. I can get her shoulder out a little bit. And if I really try to work at her, I might. And like, once again, she's a silicone, so she doesn't have bones. So, like, I can get the shoulder out, and that's about it. I can't get her completely out. I mean, if I really, really, really squish her, but once a silicone is squishy. Like a real baby, you wouldn't be able to grab their foot and squish. But that's why bundle me's are unsafe. People have asked them what is safe. This is called a shower cap cover. They don't go anywhere between baby and the harness. This is actually from the same manufacturer as Bundle Me JL Co. And it's just as nice. I mean, you don't have the fuzz around there, but once again, it's this one I like because it has the, you zip up. Some of them have like a zip down and it folds apart. But you can always cover baby in a blanket and then zip it up and then cover their face. So this is a safer option because I don't have to do anything with the harness. And also in a car, even in the cold, do not, when you get in a car, do not leave this up because once again, the car gets hot and baby gets hot in these. You always at least want to fold it down so baby can breathe. They can overheat very easily. And then in the last video, I had mentioned about softer, like hanging toys. These are the ones that I was looking for and I couldn't find before I did the video. I mean, they Velcro on, but they're completely soft. There's a little rattle in them. But I would be comfortable, and these actually came from my son's car seat. I had 4 of them. From when my son was a baby, and I believe I used them with my daughter as well. These are actually the toys that we kept on their car seats for them to play with because of projectiles. As you can probably see by the thumbnail, in the tech community there was a car seat tech who got in an accident and a CD that was sitting on her passenger seat literally got embedded in her windshield. I think it was a rollover accident. And I tracked down the picture, so I'm using that as the thumbnail, and I also put that at the beginning of this video just because that is so important about projectiles. I mean, something you think as light as a CD, that's what can happen to it in an accident or a rollover. Also in the winter, like these canopy cover, the ones that drape over the front, or that hook on here and drape over, I personally don't like them, just for the fact that like in the wind they blow around. They had just come out when my daughter was a baby, and I thought, oh cool, you know, something a little safe, and it makes it a little fun, and it keeps a little private. Okay, I'm going to put the car seat back together. It makes it a little private for baby. You know, you can put it up and kind of a sign of don't touch baby. But the reality is that if you're in the cold and it's windy, it's just going to blow around. It's not really going to do anything. And then when you get inside, baby will probably be crying because they're hot, or you want to check on baby. So really, I'm not a huge fan of these. Like this one you can fold down, and usually, at least with my kids, when it was folded down but still zipped up, I usually unzipped it when we were shopping. But if it's folded down but still zipped up, people typically leave your kids alone. I've not had any issues with people randomly touching my babies. I've had a few issues with kids randomly touching my babies, but that's a whole nother topic. And once again, don't use anything that doesn't come with your car seat. I don't have any head supports, aftermarket head supports, because I don't use them. Never used those with my kids. But this is the insert that did come with my Kiko Key Fit. And that's the body pillow for a baby, and this is the head support. This is what I was talking about, the straps. I see a lot of people putting them up here, and now that that's out, I can kind of show this one. I know this is going to be another long video, and I'm not even going to apologize for this, because this is safety information. But at or below, she's not going to move up very much. Okay, watch her butt. There we go. The second slot she's right at with the infant insert in, but in order to use this infant insert, Kiko says it has to be on the lowest setting. But if you put, here is the highest setting. Now in an accident, that ramp up, if her shoulders, if you have the harness all the way up here, she's going to come up to about that point. And the harness is going to stretch. So she's going to overstretch. So she'll probably wind up about here. Where at or below, she might move up a little bit. She's not going to move up a whole lot. She's not going to come up to the top of the seat. So that's why it's important to do at or below, not at or above. If you have a forward-facing child, then it's at or above. And I know things have come a long ways in car seats. My cousin's son just turned 18, and he actually went off to Marine boot camp last week. I can't believe he's that old, or he's old enough to do that. But anyways, back when he was a baby, he was born in 1998. When he was born, car seats, if it was a convertible seat, basically had two sets of straps. They had the really low ones, and then they had one really high one. They might, if it was a deluxe edition, it might have four. It'll have two rear facings and then two forward facings. Nowadays, a lot of car seats have more options for rear facing and forward facing strap covers, or strap heights. And you know, like I said, rear facing, it is at or below. Forward facing, it is at or above. And that's just because of the physics of crashes and how the car seat stretches and how the car seat harness fits and such. And I want to do a video eventually in the car with my infant seat. I've got an infant seat. Okay, guys, I am going to hold the camera now because it keeps shutting off. But I have no qualms buying used car seats for reborns or dolls. As long as they're used properly, they're buckled in the car. I have a base for this. This one does have little things right here. Let me move it on the side. If you want to do an install with a seat belt without the base. And this is Kiko set. Kiko just hid those in some of the covers for some reason. Don't ask me why. Some of the covers, they have the cutout down here. I'm really not sure why Kiko did that on some of the covers. But anyways, as long as it's used properly, you have it buckled in to your seat. I've seen some people with their dolls, they'll just throw the car seat in the back seat and off they go. If it's not buckled in, it's a projectile. This is, the seat itself is probably a good 8 pounds. Then you add Ryan's weight in there. She's probably another 10, 12 pounds. She's not very light. So that is, let's just say she's 12 pounds and the car seat's 8 pounds. That's 20 pounds just sitting in your car, and if you get in an accident, it's flying. So even at a 10-mile-an-hour crash, that would be 200 pounds of force flying at the back of your head, or flying at the back of your seat. And that's just a 10-mile-an-hour crash. Most people are doing, nowadays, they drive, like in a residential areas, 30 miles per hour in some places. And then once you get on the highway, you can get up to 80, 85. I mean, I guess even when it's a reborn, I don't want to take that risk. So even though it can be a pain, I always install the base in my car. If I'm going to take one of my babies out and about, I always install the base in, it's usually the way back, the third row, and then I put the car seat in it. There has been a few times I didn't want to screw with the base, so I just used the little hooks on each side and did an install with the seat belt. But I have her buckled in and I have the seat buckled in. That way, if we're in an accident, the seat, the car seat and the seat belt are going to take and grab the weight, or that seat belt's going to grab the weight instead of it flying. That goes for any projectiles in a car. I've already mentioned the CD that I have, the picture I have at the beginning. Like in the accident I had, there was a tote, a large tote. That's why my son was in the way back instead of the second row of the van. We couldn't get this tote in because it was long. It was so long it wouldn't fit in sideways. So I had to move him to the third row, and I had to put this tote, kind of making an aisle for this tote. Well, what happened was the tote literally slid all the way forward, and luckily it did not pop or fly. Like it was at the back of the van, and it was all the way. I felt it hit the back of my seat. So in retrospect, I would, there's things I could have even done different in the accident, but it is what it is. And oh my gosh, the cat just scared me. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm open to questions. If you have questions, even if I had, like I said, I had a couple messages on Facebook asking me car seat questions for their dolls. And one of the people, I'm not going to call you out about it, like, I'm so sorry, I feel stupid asking car seat advice for a doll when you could be using this to say stuff about a real baby. It sounds stupid trying to keep my dolls safe. No, it doesn't sound stupid, because it's really keeping you safe in the car more than the doll. Where these are expensive dolls. They're not cheap. Even a cheaper one is not cheap to some people. So, you know, you want to keep them safe. You want to keep, especially if you're looking for car seat advice for a real child, you definitely want to keep them safe. I mean, that's the most precious cargo you will ever have, even if it's not your own child in the car. If you're transporting a child in your car, I would highly recommend reading the manual for the car seat. If you can't find the manual, there is stickers on car seats. So, like I said, this is a Kiko key fit. It's not going to really focus, but this is the sticker. It says right on there, Kiko key fit 30. And then it's got the model number, the serial number, when it was manufactured, and the expiration date. Some will just have the expiration date, some will have manufacture dates. Some, like the Kikos, have both. But all this information is here. So now, you know, it says key fit, and you know it's a Kiko. So you go to Kiko's website, and you can look up the manual for it. Some websites, it's not as easy to look up the manual for it, so you might have to email the car seat company and say, hey, I've got this car seat, this is the information from it. Sometimes even just taking a picture and sending it. They all have those stickers on them. If they don't have that sticker on it, it is not, well, I shouldn't say it's not. It's either meant the sticker has fallen off and it's a pretty old car seat, or it was before stickers were made or put on car seats, and I don't think I'd even want to use that with a doll because I'd be afraid that the plastic would be too brittle. But I've got a flashing light, so I better wrap this up. What was I saying? But there is no stupid questions when it comes to car seat safety. I will answer your questions. If you have a real child, even a nanny child, I suggest finding the manual, reading the manual, and even making a appointment with your local Safe Kids organization, or finding out if anybody local does car seat checks, and either sign up to do one, or not do one, to bring your car in, or some places you can just drive by and come in. You don't have to have an appointment. And there are some techs that will do, in some places, that will do private checks. So if you just come in, you might have to make an appointment for that, but they might make an appointment and have you come in at a certain time, and they'll go over everything with you. So, once again, I mean, no question. The question that is not asked is the stupid question. So, I hope you enjoyed this car seat video. I'm sorry it was long again, and okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry this is a long video because this is important. So, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all later. Bye!